Welcome to the Deep Dive. Our mission today is, well, to cut through the noise and give you a shortcut to understanding what's truly important in the world of digital assets. Because for the last 2 weeks, say from June 30 to July 14, 2025, the crypto space has just been absolutely buzzing with major shifts. And we've pulled together a stack of authoritative sources to help guide you through it all. We're talking to Bitcoin hitting new highs, significant regulatory announcements coming out of Washington, crucial tech upgrades for key blockchains, and even, believe it or not, a historic meme coin ICO that really turned heads. And of course, just around the corner is the highly anticipated crypto week in Washington.
Exactly. And this deep dive, it isn't just about, listing events one after another. What's truly compelling, I think, is how rapidly the landscape is evolving. So we're going to connect the dots between these, seemingly disparate developments. We want to provide the context you need to grasp the bigger picture of how policy, technology, and market sentiment are all converging right now. It's fascinating stuff.
Okay, let's do it. Let's unpack this fascinating fortnight, starting with the big market news, Bitcoin. The king of crypto didn't just climb, it surged to around $118,000, a new all-time high.
Incredible number.
Right. And this phenomenal rally didn't just boost Bitcoin itself, it lifted crypto stocks right across the board and pushed the overall crypto market cap to a staggering $3.7 trillion.
Wow.
What really jumped out at me, though, is that this significant rally happened just ahead of Crypto Week. The timing.
Yeah, it's an interesting precursor, isn't it? This strong market performance, especially Bitcoin breaking that new high. It builds a powerful backdrop for the upcoming legislative discussions in D.C. It suggests maybe a resilient market that's perhaps anticipating a more favorable regulatory environment, or, at least a clearer one from Washington.
Speaking of Washington, the U.S. regulatory landscape has delivered some truly compelling developments. Very interesting stuff. The U.S. House of Representatives made a significant move. They declared July 14 and 18 as Federal Crypto Week.
Crypto Week. Okay.
Yeah. And House Republicans plan to vote on some pretty impactful crypto bills, things like the Genius Act, the Clarity Act, and the Anti-CBDC Surveillance State Act, all aimed at reshaping digital asset regulation.
Big moves.
Big moves indeed. And adding to this, we've seen the new SEC chair, Paul Atkins, step onto the scene with a notably pro-innovation stance. He's championed tokenization as a major innovation. He announced a shift from an enforcement-first approach,
Which you've seen a lot of.
exactly, to a more transparency-led regulatory approach. He even floated the idea of an innovation exemption specifically for DeFi platforms, decentralized finance.
An innovation exemption, that's a strong signal.
It is. But then, almost immediately, right on his heels, SEC Commissioner Hester Peirce, often known as Crypto Mom, issued a crucial caveat. A warning, really.
Okay, here comes the balance.
Right. She warned that simply tokenizing an asset won't automatically exempt it from existing securities laws. Her point was clear. Tokenized stocks, for instance, they still fall under those existing regulations, regardless of the innovation push. Now, this seems like a real philosophical divide right at the heart of the SEC. What's your take? Is this a fundamental conflict or just, different priorities that might eventually align?
Well, look, it's definitely a conflict, and I'd say it's more than just differing priorities. It suggests a deep philosophical divide, and that could either lead to a fragmented regulatory approach, which isn't ideal, or it could force a more unified, albeit probably slower, path forward for crypto legislation. You have Atkins signaling this new, perhaps more welcoming regulatory philosophy, while Peirce is quite wisely, I think, reminding everyone of the existing legal precedents. Don't forget the rules we already have.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So the immediate implication, it's continued uncertainty for projects operating in the U.S., right? They have to navigate these contrasting messages. The real test will be how these views get reconciled, or perhaps not, in upcoming enforcement actions or guidance, especially as Crypto Week unfolds. That'll be key.
Okay, so uncertainty continues there. But as we consider how these regulatory shifts are playing out, it's fascinating to see how some market players are already capitalizing, even on early signs of clarity. Take Robinhood, for example. Their shares hit record highs.
Really? Why?
Largely due to the success of its EU launch. And this wasn't just any launch. It included tokenized U.S. stocks on the Arbitrum blockchain.
They're using layer 2s.
Exactly. And crypto staking services, too.
Yeah.
And the fact that the SEC's support apparently added some regulatory clarity to these moves, well, that certainly helped propel their success. But let me push back a bit. Some might argue that tokenized stocks in the EU, while innovative, aren't directly addressing the core regulatory uncertainties U.S. crypto faces, right? So how much of a powerful signal is this truly for the U.S. market?
That's a fair challenge, definitely. And it's true, the immediate impact is overseas. However, the signal here, I think, is more about the method than the specific geography. What's striking about Robinhood's success is how a traditional financial platform is leveraging blockchain technology for global reach, and crucially, doing so with an apparent nod, at least, from the SEC.
Oh, okay.
So this demonstrates that regulatory clarity, even if it's just in the early stages, can empower significant market players. It can drive the adoption of digital assets by a broader audience. It shows that even within existing frameworks, there's room for innovation when there's a clear path, or at least a perceived clear path.
Interesting perspective. Okay, let's shift gears a bit. Let's dive into some significant technological advancements and shifts within the blockchain space itself. Ethereum, one of the biggest networks out there, just completed its Purge upgrade.
The Purge, yes, a big deal for ETH.
Huge deal. This is a monumental step, right?
Yep.
Reduces its state size, integrates ZK rollups,
Which essentially bundle transactions off-chain.
right, to vastly improve speed and slash costs. And this upgrade also coincides with the U.S. preparing to launch spot ETH ETFs.
Timing again.
Exactly. Starting this July. This marks a major inflection point for Ethereum's mainstream adoption, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So what does this purge, combined with the ETFs, mean for Ethereum's long-term competitive standing, in your view?
Oh, it's a truly crucial moment for Ethereum's evolution, no question. The Purge directly addresses those long-standing scalability concerns. That's been a major bottleneck for the network, making it more efficient, more cost-effective.
Finally tackling gas fees, hopefully?
Hopefully, yes. And simultaneously, the launch of spot ETH ETFs offers this new regulated pathway for institutional investment that simply didn't exist before in the US. So the critical implication here is that Ethereum is not only becoming more robust technically, but it's also gaining significant legitimacy and accessibility for traditional finance players.
Right, TradFi coming in.
Exactly. So this signals increasing maturity, efficiency, and broader acceptance for one of the foundational blockchain networks. It could really solidify its position in that competitive smart contract platform landscape.
Okay, so lots of positive momentum there for Ethereum. But, this deep dive wouldn't be complete without examining the challenges. And frankly, some of the darker corners of the crypto world.
Always important to look at both sides.
Absolutely. Take JPMorgan, for example, a major institution. They've sharply slashed their growth forecast for stablecoins, revised it dramatically downward, from potentially $4 trillion down to a mere $500 billion by 2028.
Wow, that's a huge cut. Why the change?
Their cited reason: limited adoption in real-world payments. They estimate it's only about 6%. Very low.
Only 6%.
Yeah. So what does such a dramatic revision from a major player like JPMorgan tell us about the future role of stablecoins? Are they just for trading?
Well, JPMorgan's dramatic forecast cut. It isn't just about the lack of payment utility, I think. It also points to significant hurdles, like regulatory fragmentation globally, right? And maybe the existing efficiency and cost competitiveness of traditional payment rails. They work pretty well for most people day to day.
Good point.
So it suggests that, for now at least, stablecoins might be relegated more to niche roles, primarily within crypto trading, yes, and perhaps institutional settlement, but probably not achieving mass consumer adoption for everyday purchases anytime soon. It forces us to consider that difference between, speculative value within the crypto bubble and actual widespread real-world utility, and perhaps the slow pace of behavioral change needed for new payment methods to really take hold.
A reality check, perhaps.
Yeah.
Okay, on an even more serious note, the Financial Action Task Force, FATF, highlighted some stark realities regarding illicit activities. They warned that a staggering $51 billion was laundered via digital assets in 2024 alone.
$51 billion. That's
Yep.
a lot.
It is. And compounding this, they expressed concern that only 40 out of 138 jurisdictions currently comply with crypto anti-money laundering, or AML, standards.
40 out of 138, that's a pretty low compliance rate.
Worryingly low. And we also saw a disturbing incident with the Nobitex exchange. Israel-linked cyber actors, apparently operating under the name Predatory Sparrow.
Predatory Sparrow. Oh,
They hacked Iran's Nobitex exchange, burning $90 million worth of crypto.
burned it, meaning destroyed.
Destroyed it, yes.
Yeah.
And they publicly stated their reason for this act was to protest alleged sanction evasion.
Wow. Geopolitics entering the crypto hack space directly.
Exactly. So these points, the FATF warning the Nobitex hack, they aren't just isolated incidents, are they? They seem to underscore deeper systemic challenges for the entire digital asset ecosystem.
Oh, absolutely. These 2 points, they powerfully underscore the critical and ongoing challenges of security and regulatory compliance in crypto. It's undeniable. The FATF warning highlights a significant global gap in regulatory enforcement. It makes the ecosystem vulnerable to illicit finance, plain and simple.
Right.
And the Novatex hat. I mean, irrespective of the stated motivations, it demonstrates the persistent security risks and the potential for digital assets to be drawn into these intense geopolitical conflicts.
A new battleground.
Sort of, yeah. Putting this in context, it highlights that constant battle between the ideals of decentralization and privacy and the undeniable need for global financial integrity and stability. These aren't just tech issues, they're deeply interwoven geopolitical ones that impact the entire ecosystem's perception and, ultimately, its adoption.
Well said. Okay, finally, let's wrap up with a story that I think perfectly captures the Wild West spirit that still defines parts of crypto. Meme coins.
Meme coins. Never dull.
Never dull is right. When I saw the pump fund numbers, $500 million raised in just 12 minutes for a meme coin ICO, an initial coin offering, honestly, my jaw dropped.
$500 million in 12 minutes. For a meme.
For a meme project, Pump.Fun, it's a Solana-based meme coin launchpad. On July 12th, they launched their PUMP token ICO, raised an incredible $500 million. This involves selling 12.5% of the total supply, that's 125 billion PBMP tokens, at 0.044 each, valuing the token at $4 billion, fully diluted.
$4 billion, fully diluted, based on a 12-minute sale. That's something else.
It is, and what's even more astonishing, maybe, is that it was supported by major exchanges, Coinbase, Bybit, Kraken, KuCoin.
The big names got involved.
The big names, and it features a 25% revenue sharing plan. So what does this truly signify about the current state of, let's say, market rationality and the continued appetite for these high-risk ventures?
Yeah, that's certainly a headline-grabbing figure, isn't it? And it truly underscores the sheer speed and scale of fundraising that's possible for a meme coin project. An interesting implication here, I think, is the continued dominance of community-driven hype. It often seems to override traditional financial metrics in certain corners of the market.
Hype over fundamentals.
Pretty much, yeah. And while it showcases the potential for rapid wealth creation, someone made a lot of money very quickly. It also highlights the deeply speculative nature of parts of the market and clearly the continued appetite for high-risk, high-reward ventures. You could call it a landmark moment in meme coin history. It forces us to consider this ongoing tension between financial innovation, or perhaps just speculation, and market exuberance.
Fascinating, if slightly terrifying example. Okay, and that brings us to the end of this deep dive into the recent whirlwind in the crypto and blockchain world. We've seen, well, everything from Bitcoin's record highs and the strategic moves unfolding in Washington to the critical purge on Ethereum and, yeah, even the explosive record-breaking rise of a meme coin.
Quite the fortnight.
Absolutely. The past 2 weeks truly showed how quickly this space moves, doesn't it? And how interconnected policy, technology, and market sentiment really are.
Definitely. And it's clear that staying informed isn't just about knowing the facts, reading the headlines. It's about understanding the intricate relationships between them, connecting those dots we talked about. Hopefully, this deep dive has given you, our listeners, a clearer lens through which to view these complex dynamics.
We hope so, too. And as you reflect on these developments, here's a final thought for you to ponder. Given the contrasting regulatory stances we discussed, the accelerating technological upgrades like the Purge, and this, well, enduring speculative fever around things like meme coins, how do you think the balance between innovation, regulation, and risk will ultimately define the next chapter of digital assets? Something to think about.